We can talk about this all the time, this body positivity stuff, which I completely, totally believe in. 100% body positivity is accepting your body the way it is at its healthiest self. That's the thing that people are missing when it comes to that. And that's why we have such a very unhealthy relationship with food on a global scale, is because we're preaching body positivity. It's like, no, it's body positivity at your healthiest self. And we're not saying you gotta have a six-pack look like a freaking bodybuilder or a model. There is a healthy amount of body fat for a woman. There is a healthy amount of body fat for a male. There are correlations of, your waist circumference and heart disease and diabetes and all those things. There is a healthy body. And what is up? It's your boy Johnny Shrevive, BB Promos, or Tell Like It Is. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast Uncut. Today we're gonna respond to LeanBeefPatty's video, 5 mistakes beginners make. Just through our own experience and whatnot, but I thought I'd give my opinions, go through the video and just give my opinion. Anyway, guys, without further ado, guys, keep your eyes glued to the screen and ears glued to the speakers, and let's listen and learn some shit.
Number one, first thing I wish that I had done differently, not winging it so much. What I mean by that is completely unstructured workouts. I know it's pretty hard when you're at the beginning of your fitness journey to know how to structure a workout routine. What I did for a very, very, very long time was just go in, basically do a full body workout every single time, which there's nothing wrong with. Like, for some people, that is actually better to do a full body workout. For me personally, I wish I had not done that. I don't think it was that great. Also, I wasn't aware of how much I was lifting. I was just kind of like lifting every time. No tracking whatsoever. Wasn't tracking food, wasn't tracking weights, wasn't tracking workouts, wasn't tracking anything. So I wish maybe I had a little bit more structure. Personally now, I like a push-pull legs routine. That's not the only one that exists. That's not the best one. There is no best one. Honestly, the full body workout might be what works for you. It wasn't for me.
I love that. That's cool. So I gotta definitely respond to that, because as of right now, we are on the same page. Everything she said, I completely, utterly agree with. Now, I want to go a little further with it, because she's starting at a point in people's journey that I always see overlooked. And yes, you definitely want to have a plan. You also want to go to the gym and wing it all the time. But it happens before that, right? Before you try to create a strategy, and that's why a lot of people don't, make it to their goals, or they're just running around in circles, is they don't have an image of what it actually looks like. Person A or B wants to, put on muscle and lose fat. That's the goal. And it's like, cool. Okay, so what does that look like? Does that person have like wide shoulders, smaller waist, the abs or something? Like, what does it look like? Are their legs bigger? Have you looked at some other, people, or not just like to judge yourself, but more so to like have an idea? Like, have you thought about what it looks like for whoever it is out there? So you made a goal. Do you know what it looks like? Do you have any clue what it looks like? Because if you don't have a clue what it looks like, how do you know how to create it? So your plan could be off, so before you start a strategy and what kind of workout you're going to do, and say you want to have like bigger legs and you're doing a 3-day split, like, or, like a full body workout, you want to put on a lot of muscle, and it's like, I get it all the time. What do you want to do? Like how many times are you working out a week? Oh, I'm working out, 3 to 4 times a week. Okay, and your goals are, I want to put on the most amount of muscle I can. I'm like, well, that's not going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, depending on your training and who you are. So before you dive into having some type of a strategy, you have to have an image of what your goals actually look like. And then you can create a strategy around that, and how to create that image in your head. Let's move on. Right now, man, she's dope, man. I like this. You gotta do this, man.
All right, thing number 2, just going through the motions. Kind of aligns with the last one where I wasn't really paying attention to anything. Just going through the motions. What I mean by that is during your workouts, the intensity is questionable. I see actually a lot of people doing this where they get this idea that they just need to meet this certain rep requirement, and they just meet it, and that's it. And maybe it's not actually that challenging.
This is my first time watching this. I'm like, yo, listen, I'm gonna assume that wherever she's around, she's watching the right stuff to learn, because I'm older than her, and I've been saying it forever. But like, regardless, what she's saying is on point. Like, I'm liking this, man. Cosign, yoinks.
All I need, now I'm gonna be bossing it out. That's not really the way it works, all right? You need some intensity. So I wish I hadn't just gone through the motions. And tying in with the last point, I really wasn't tracking anything. So there was no way for me to know, like, if I was actually getting better. Sometimes still I don't track that closely, but I can literally just remember what I did last time because it was like 2 days ago. So if you can do that, that's awesome. But another thing with the just going through the motions is for some beginners, that actually might be quite important because I've also seen a number of people go into the gym. They know that they need to be intense. They're going for that intensity. They're upping the weights, but their form is extremely questionable.
Boom. Again, like what you're saying. I completely agree. And I've been saying before, and sometimes maybe some of you guys, miss a video when I say it. And I've been saying it. Technique and effort never change. Never change at all. Your technique is always going to be it has to be number one, especially for beginners. It has to be the number one important thing. And the next, right after that, is intensity and, or effort, so to speak. And I look at effort as intensity, but more so effort. And effort for me is basically this. If you had a long ass day at work and, you're like, man, this sucks. Like, it was a long day. You had so much to do and you're like dragging ass, you got to go, but you got to go to the gym and you're like, man, I'm just dragging ass. Man, I don't feel like going to the gym. Right? You still have form and you still have effort. With how much energy you have, you give out maximum amount of effort with that energy. So if you only got like half a tank left, you're going to use 100% of that half a tank. You know what I'm saying? And then through that, you are in the moment, working your ass off to make sure that your form is on point. So every time you go to the gym, it's not a fail. You don't always have to be just in there, be like, intense and everything like that. But again, for beginners, it's extremely crucial. I completely agree with, form being at the forefront and then your effort intensity being there as well too. And working on that, right? And that just continues to get better and better. And you overload that, you know what I'm saying? Progressive overload your life, right? Anyway. Great points.
Taking rest more seriously. And this goes into a lot of facets. So sleeping rest, very important. 7 to 9 hours. You people getting like 3-4 hours and being like, I'm built different. No, you're not.
True. I totally agree with there. I'm gonna stop right there and just break it on that point. 100%. It's if anyone says like, oh yeah, the entrepreneurs, all the best entrepreneurs in the world, the greatest minds, they only sleep 3-4 hours a night because they got to use all the time in the day to just get work done. It's like it's counterproductive. Like you need the rest. I'll tell you this just for my own experience this year. I would say a couple times, actually one time this year, it wasn't necessarily really, really bad, but it was a good sucker punch in the face that at that point I knew exactly why I got really sick. Like it was flash sick, tired, you know what I mean? I threw up. Then I was looking at it and I was kind of thinking back and I'm like tracking it. And like immediately I knew that at the point of the year, I was traveling a lot. And then like I was traveling like coast to coast. And then if I travel coast to coast, I don't get the right amount of sleep. Literally, my brain or my body does not adjust to say flying to California. That's like a 4-hour difference. And I'm waking up at 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning to say hi to my daughter or whatever because it's 4 hours later there and I'm still going to bed at whatever time I'm going to bed at in California because I'm working all day and then I'm going home and I'm really catching up with my sleep and then I remember just crashing and it was like I just wasn't giving myself a right amount of sleep. I was doing everything else. I was training, eating, whatever that was. I wasn't giving myself the right amount of sleep. And I remember crashing bad on that. So she's 100% correct on that. Get the right amount of just actual sleep.
Actually, you might be built different. I heard that there's like 0.0001% of people who can survive on like 2 hours of sleep.
You ain't them. You ain't them. Whoever's watching this, that's not you. Sorry. Just saying. I agree.
The average person, me included, 7 to 9 hours is ideal. So
I get like 6. I'm not gonna lie to you. I can do really, really well in 6. My breaking point, and then I was going back to the whole sleep thing, it was like 4 hours. I was getting like a consistent 4 hours consistently a night, and I don't even think that was like actual like good REM sleep. So, but 6 for me. But yeah, 100% I should be getting more. But like, I'm trying.
Rest days. I used to not really take that into consideration at all. I would work out 6 or 7 days a week and not rest. So there is something called active rest days, which is like you're still doing something, but it's not really like a workout. For that, I would usually go for a walk, go for a bike ride, go for a hike, roll around in my room.
So like I definitely agree with that and actually having rest. And I remember, a couple times I've had some issues without resting. Like I was one of those like, like no days off. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm super tough. And I remember the first time actually taking a proper day off was during prep, and Neil Hill was coaching me. And I remember sitting in the car. I was like maybe like 5 weeks old, whatever. I'm sitting in the car and I'm I'm on Instagram being like, motivation. I'm super tired and I don't want to go to the gym and my body's telling me to not do this and whatever. But I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna do this. Whatever it is, I gotta make it. Winners, whatever. I don't know what I was saying. Some on that lines of that. And Neil saw my stories and like, he put me in my place. It was hilarious. He messaged me. He's like, mate. I'm like, what's up? He's like, none of this no days off shit, mate. He's like, take your ass home and sleep, have a refeed, and go to the gym tomorrow. And he had, I don't know, I was trying to do a little bit of a Cardiff accent, but whatever. Anyway, and I'm sitting there like, I thought it was being like, tough. And I was motivated. Like, I was like, I was literally in the car for like 45 minutes, like sitting outside the gym. Like, I got to get in, man. I'm like, I'm trying. Like, I'm just trying to be motivated. And he's like, take your ass home, man. Like, take your ass home with that no rest bullshit. Take your butt home and go to sleep. And I remember at that time, I went home, had a refeed. I was like, really? What the hell? And like, go to sleep. Don't work out. Don't try and cardio it off. And I swear the next day, it was like just the overall amount of harmony my body had from not, because I was beating my body up. Us bodybuilders, we do that. Like, we go into a diet, it's extreme. It's extremely extreme, and those kind of things will have an effect on us. So I know that to the nth degree when it comes to, what she's talking about. But when it comes to like, taking days off, right? Like, take a day off. And when it comes to like active rest days, I agree and I don't agree. I'm not really saying active rest days. You know what I mean? Like what she's talking about, like on a day off where you're not doing anything and you're actively doing something. Don't call it rest day. That should just be like a normal regular day. If you got time to go outside and do something outside of the gym, heck yeah, go do that. But it doesn't have to be like an active rest day, because now you have to program something in that you should probably just do anyway, right? So, and it is still resting, like getting up and going for a walk or doing something, just like a little active outside the gym is still very much a rest, because you're letting your body just like, release from just like the, confines and streets of like pushing every day, whatever it is, right? Give your body a break from that. And that's exactly what it is. But don't think of it as like an active rest. Just think of it as like, hey, check it out. I should be doing that on a day off anyway, right? Unless you're like extremely, beat up and you can't really walk or something. You just have the crazy leg day. I don't know. Either way.
But if you be working out the way that I try to work out now, which is like, I'm like, working out, you need at least a couple of days to recover.
All right.
Rest within the workout, so rest times. And this can actually be used for a form of progressive overload. And how much you're resting, again, kind of does depend on your goals. Some people are working out like an athlete, whatever that means. But for somebody like me, who is kind of going more for hypertrophy, muscle building / strength at the moment.
Yo, I just gotta agree completely, totally and completely. Resting, like, it's like all the different types of rest she's going over that make a lot of sense to really touch on, because a lot of beginners don't really understand it. And even guys who aren't beginners, even intermediate or advanced, it's like if you're training for a certain way or hypertrophy, you should be resting, really like, a minute to 2 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever it is for you works out. But like, if you're resting way too long and you're training to just build muscle, you're gonna end up resting way too long and then kind of wasting the energy and time to actually help yourself build muscle, or you're basically cooling off too much. Or if you're trying to lift super heavy and you're trying to take shorter rest times, it doesn't work. So it's understanding like what you're training for and then taking the proper amount of rest that's required for that type of training. If you're training sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, just volume, you're just trying to build the muscle, expand the volume, outside of the muscle cell, your set should be around 30, 45 seconds, right? It's a little more, a little like whatever, like around that range. You should be around 75 to 80% of your 1 minute max, around that, and then like resting 1 to 2-ish minutes. There's your parameters for that type of training. If you're training for strength and you just want to get bigger and expand the actual muscle cell itself, then you're doing a short rest period. Your time retention isn't as long. Your load is like,
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
your damn weight load, man. The weight load, damn it. The weight load is like 85, 90% of your 1 rep max, around that, right? And that requires a lot more rest time even between sets. So if you're mixing those two things up, then you're missing out on your goals, right? So she's completely right about that, which is super dope. And it is a great way of progressive overload, because a lot of times when it comes to it, your sets, like I asked a lot of people before, I'm like, yo, check it out. Time your set. Just see how long it takes you to do your set. And I did one with Nick Walker, and you watched his set and you looked at it, and it's like he could take the same weight he was doing for that set and literally just be like 3 more seconds. You know what I mean? Or like 4 more seconds. And those 4 more seconds equate to more time and attention. So she's completely right about that, which is super dope. I like what she's saying, man. I'm co-signing everything she's saying right now. Absolutely.
Aside from just fitness, I wish that I had done this differently in my life in general, because low key, it definitely ruined my life for quite a few years and probably took some off the end of it. So, is what it is. Irreparable damage. Let's go!
By the way, for me, that what she did there is, for me, is extremely important to be completely transparent about your struggles with ED and your victories. And like it has to be, you have to add in the victories, because I struggle with it too. 100% struggle with it. And it's great that someone like her is being open about it. It's not easy just to be like, hey guys, I had an ED. You have to say ED because you might get freaking demonetized, or whatever. Such a touchy subject that you have to actually say ED. But like something that's really it's something that's really awesome that she's doing is talking about it openly. And obviously where she's at right now, she's obviously overcame it. So it's great that she's saying this. Now, honestly, guys, if you are having issues when it comes to food, I recommend that you guys use my code Johnny10 for 10% off ISO Smooth. It's just a great supplement for you guys to have, a really good protein supplement that's there, to help, fill in the gaps from maybe some of the protein that you can't get in your already good, well-balanced diet. So guys, use my code Johnny10 for 10% off. You can get yourself some ISO Smooth, a good, clean protein supplement for you guys to use. Remember, guys, it's all about the entire picture. These are here to help you bridge the gaps to make sure you guys can stay on track. Anyway.
My goal was to basically get as skinny as possible. And there was a couple problems with that. One, that is just not my body type. I was aiming for a body type that I, quite frankly, was not born to have, I think, in a healthy way. And also, I really did like working out. So I couldn't really work out the way that I wanted to and look the way that I wanted to.
And I have to agree with her completely. Like, it was something that, it has to be talked about, because that's one of, like, it's like when it comes to training, you don't really hear people having disaster stories when it comes to training. No one's like, man, I went to the gym, it's too much. You know what I mean? It's like, you can use going to the gym to compensate for eating, and that is part of like things you can, that can really affect, an ED and whatnot, is like thinking like, trying to outwork your bad diet, going and doing way more cardio after you've had a bunch of food or whatever. But it's like, it goes back again to like before you're starting this journey, because a lot of people honestly, like, it's a crazy numbers, like 3 out of 5 people will end up having an ED that join like even bodybuilding in itself. So it's something that we have to really think about. But it's like before you even step into this realm of like the fitness industry, it's such a very almost vain-ish type thing, because what you're shown on social media all the time, that you have to, and it brings back to my first point, is actually having a realistic idea of what you want to look like. Again, I missed the point at the beginning of saying realistic, but to add on to that, it needs to be a realistic image of what you want to achieve, what your genetics can actually achieve. I had a consult with a woman last week, and she had a really good physique already, and it obviously lacked muscle. Now, she had the great genetics for what she wanted to achieve, but she didn't really have an idea of what it really looked like. I asked her the question, what does it look like? She's like, I don't really know what it looked like. So I kind of like picked up a couple people that I know online, given their exact, transparency about it. These people are not whatever. But when it comes to what your body, what you're looking to look like, what are you talking about? You want bigger legs? What kind of bigger legs are you talking about? Do you want like legs like this or like this or like this? So it was an image of like, oh, okay, so I know that my body can achieve something like this. How do I do that? And that will stop a lot of people from like under eating so much, because a lot of times when it comes to body transformations, it's just like, let's just stop eating food. And you just make food such a very like, a very weird thing. And that one of the biggest points I make is like, don't make food so like, don't make it weird. Have an idea of, what you want to look like, a realistic approach to that. And then get like, and track calories. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people are out there being like, don't track calories. And I'm like, why not? Like, I'm not telling you guys to track calories and make it some kind of like a weird thing. So you're like, sitting there like, oh my God, this is this costs this. It's like, no, it's not that. It's to give you an idea of what you're actually eating. It's basically one of the variables to find out like exactly, what are you eating and what does that equate to and what you look like. So if you weigh X amount of weight and you're in the gym 3 times a week and you do 150 minutes of cardio a day and whatever, and you weigh X amount of pounds, what you're eating and what you're doing is giving you the weight and the look. If you really don't know that, you won't really understand. If you don't know that number or around what it is, how do you know what to dice out in terms of like being a deficit? So it happens a lot of people end up just being like, hey, I'm gonna not eat anything. I don't know how much I'm supposed to eat, and this app says I should eat 1,500 calories, and you do that and you suffer. Then all of a sudden you can't get lower, and you have this weird obsession with food because it's something that you just look and just understand like, hey, look, this is what I'm eating, this is what I'm doing, this is how much I weigh. If I want to change my physique, I know that I can take an approach of, hey, maybe I'll just like, maybe up my overall activity level. Maybe I'll just do more cardio because I'm not doing that much cardio in the first place. And then maybe I'll stop eating maybe 200 calories when I find out that I'm eating, say, 2,500 calories that I'm not supposed to eat that much or whatever it is. I don't know. That's the whole approach we should take when it comes to food, because telling people like, we can talk about this all the time, is body positivity stuff, which I completely, totally believe in. 100% body positivity is accepting your body the way it is at its healthiest self. That's the thing that people are missing when it comes to that. And that's why we have such a very unhealthy relationship with food on a global scale, is because we're preaching body positivity. It's like, no, it's body positivity at your healthiest self. And we're not saying you got to have a 6-pack look like a freaking bodybuilder or a model. There is a healthy amount of body fat for a woman. There is a healthy amount of body fat for a male. There are correlations of, your waist circumference and heart disease and diabetes and all those things. There is a healthy body, and body positivity is when your body looks the way it looks when it's in its healthiest state naturally. What you got is what you got, and you got to be blessed to have what you got. That's what it is. That's what it is. And I'm just saying what it is right now. Sorry, I had to say it. I got off on a tangent. Because I'm sick of seeing this stuff, right? But that's what it is. And having an idea of how to create that, how to get down to that body fat percentage that is healthy, how to have a healthy amount of muscle on you. You won't, and you can't do that by just guessing. I'm just gonna guess. I don't know. Like, no one guesses how much gas is in their car and then goes for a freaking road trip. You're thinking about, oh, I only got half a tank of gas. I'm going about, I don't know, 200 kilometers. I don't know, whatever, right? You're gonna fill your tank up. You're gonna look at it and be like, make sure that you fill it up, right? Or you're gonna be driving and then you're gonna be like, you're gonna make sure you know where the next gas station is because you wanna know how much is in your tank. How does your body have the same type of like idea? Like, why do we change our approach when it comes to our actual selves? Oh my God, I went on a tangent there, guys. My bad. Anyway, moving on, totally agree with her already. I'm co-signing all day with this, with LeanBeefPatty. If you guys wanna see me collab with LeanBeefPatty, man, please comment in the section below, please. I will fly to her or whatever it is and we'll do a cool, whatever it is. I don't know. Just give out value, basically. Anyway, let's get on this last tip here.
I actually still struggle with this all the frickin' time. So maybe this is some advice I need to... Oh my God, there's a cat in the street. You can't see it. So maybe this is some advice I need to take also. But having no goals. I think this is also something that applies to all of life. But for fitness specifically, having no goals / changing up your goals too quickly will lead you to never reach them. Or also hyper-focusing on the short term. So this might look like you wake up on Monday and you're like, okay, I'm gonna get shredded. It's time to cut. And then you're 4 days into your cut and you're like, oh no, I wanna get big, I wanna bulk. So then you start bulking. That is not enough time to do anything. You need at least like a couple months to start seeing changes in any one direction. Pretty much, like actual changes.
And I totally agree. It's changing the goals too much, or not having any goals to begin with, which is what she said, which is hilarious to me. Have some goals. And my thing is, if you want to be successful in this journey, at the start of your journey as a beginner, make some low-hanging fruit goals. Not those aren't short-term goals. Low-hanging fruit goals are goals that you can, achieve right away to reinforce positive, reinforcements on an autobike. I know I keep literally. It's just gonna reinforce a positive statement, a positive action. Every time that you make, lower hanging fruit goals, it's, your body responds to it like, oh my God, I did it again. I've achieved something. Let's do it again. I achieved something. It's when you're making these high expectation goals, these high achieving goals, and, you don't really put any time on it. It's like, hey, I want to lose 100 pounds. And people have those goals. I've worked with people who wanted to lose 100 pounds. I want to lose 100 pounds. I was like, cool, when are you going to do that? Okay, that's going to be like in a year at least a year. But what about let's lose a pound. Honestly, let's lose a pound. Let's make a goal to lose a pound. And because it could be hard for people to do that. So what you do is look, if you can't lose a pound, then there's some kind of a behavioral change that we need to change right away, right? There's something that's there. So if you want to make behavioral changes, we have to get our body to do something long enough that it has to adapt and make it, and then becoming consistent. So if you have a hard time prepping food, don't think you're going to just prep 6 meals every single day. It's not going to happen. Try to prep one meal. You prep one meal, and you get badass at prepping one meal. You're prepping that one meal with your eyes closed. You literally wake up. You can just blah 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 blah. One meal's done. It's like a go-to meal, easy meal for you to make. Bam, it's so easy. Bam, and you're like, oh shit, I can do this again. This is easy. How about I try 2 meals? And then bam, basically right there, you have your 4 meals, and your 4 meals are those meals that are the ones that you basically F off on when you're at work, and you end up, ordering some crap food from somewhere that you have no clue how many calories they are, and you're probably overeating that period of time. So now you have a solution, and now you're easily losing that 1 pound you need to lose a week because you can control those 4 meals, but it started off as 1 meal. Or maybe it's water, and you don't drink enough water. It's hey, today I'm just gonna drink 2 liters of water. I'm gonna try and drink 2 liters of water. I'm gonna always have a water bottle in my hand. At least I'm gonna have a water bottle in arm's length, and that's it, right? Check this out. Arm's length, water bottle is here. And that's actually done now. Either way, you want to have it around. If you don't have it around, then guess what, right? You're not gonna drink, right? So having low-hanging fruit goals is gonna reinforce that positive stimulus of achieving a goal, and then you end up achieving more and more and more and more in the pursuit to achieving that high, achieving goal, right? The high achieving goal, whatever, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but yeah, I think it's really good that the videos like this come out. Someone like herself, her following is rising up. You know what I mean? She's gonna be at 1 million soon, and what she's putting out is great. And I think she's an absolute great example for young women out there. She's motivational. She's, got great information. She's very vulnerable about her journey. She's very open and honest about it. And I definitely, what I've seen so far from her is, very good info. So you guys can definitely learn from her. You guys can definitely, I would encourage you guys to actually go watch this video and, just watch it fully in itself and just watch more of her stuff. So, cause I definitely co-sign for her. So anyway, guys, thought I'd give you my opinion on that video, and I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, guys, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. I'm going to come out that tell like it is, transparent, vulnerable truth. And for coaching, johnashi.com, guys. If you want to know more about my coaching, guys, book yourself a 15 or 30-minute consult. At the end of the consult, I deduct it off any package that you pick, guys. And guys, make sure you hit the description below for those discount codes, promo codes, help save life or change life for the better, like 10% off boostonnutraceutical.com. Right here, guys. Get in ya. Use my code Johnny10 for 10% off, guys. And make sure you guys add me on Instagram and TikTok. Send me your progress pics, training pics, and your video clips, and I will repost it for you, because you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.